Picture this. You're on a ship, maybe thousands of miles from the closest bit of land. There are no emergency services to call. When disaster strikes, you and your crew, you're completely on your own. We're going to dive right into this high-stakes world, because understanding how crews respond to a fire at sea reveals something absolutely crucial about safety, training, and the human element that you just can't replace. It's a pretty terrifying question, isn't it? Out there, the isolation is absolute. The ship itself is your entire world. And if that world is threatened, there is literally nowhere to go. And look, this isn't just some hypothetical. It's a reality that every single seafarer has to be prepared for. So let's put ourselves right in the middle of it. Okay, so imagine the general alarm suddenly just shatters the day's routine. The call comes over the comm system. We've got a fire in the accommodation block, cabin 312. But then it gets worse. A crewmate is unaccounted for, and they're believed to be trapped inside that cabin. From this moment on, every single second counts. That is the call that no officer of the watch ever wants to hear. Right there, the situation is confirmed. It's a fire, and it's a rescue mission, and they're both happening at the same time. The response that follows, well, that's a direct test of the crew's training, their courage, and their ability to work as a team. Now, before we see how the crew handles this, we really need to understand the unique danger here. You see, a fire on land is a crisis, for sure. But a fire at sea? That is an existential threat to the vessel and every single person on board, because there is simply nowhere to run.
And, this isn't some rare, once-in-a-lifetime thing. Actually, these incidents are startlingly frequent. Get this, on average, a minor fire breaks out on a container ship every single week. And a major, potentially catastrophic fire, that happens roughly every 60 days. This is a constant, churning risk that these crews live with.
The basic science of fire is what we call the fire triangle, right? You need three things: heat, fuel, and oxygen. Take just one of those away and the fire goes out. The thing that makes ships so vulnerable is that they are, essentially, floating fire triangles. The engine room is a constant source of heat. The fuel is, well, it's everything from the diesel in the tanks to the cargo in the holds. And oxygen? Well, that's everywhere. So what actually starts these fires? Well, one major cause is the cargo itself. Certain materials, things like coal, certain types of iron, even some farm products, they can actually self-heat. A chemical reaction starts deep inside the pile of cargo, building heat slowly, silently, until one day, poof, it just bursts into flames. But an even more insidious cause, and this is a huge headache for the whole industry, is misdeclared cargo. This is when shippers deliberately mislabel hazardous materials just to get a cheaper shipping rate. They are basically creating a ticking time bomb on that ship, and the crew has no idea. A classic example is calcium hypochlorite. It's a chemical used for swimming pools, and it's super reactive. It has to be stored very carefully up on deck. So why would a shipper lie about it? Simple, to save money. Declaring hazardous cargo can add thousands of dollars to the cost of shipping just one container. For some, that's enough of an incentive to roll the dice and create a hidden chemical time bomb the crew knows nothing about. Okay, so with all these immense risks, the maritime world doesn't just leave safety to chance. There is this massive, overlapping system of international regulations that are all designed to build a framework for survival. A really good way to think about the three core regulations is like this. The SOLAS Convention, that's the hardware. It dictates how the ship is built, the fire doors, the sprinkler systems. Then you have the SCTW Convention. That's the software. It sets the standards for how the crew is trained. And finally, the ISM code is the operating system. It's the safety management system that ties everything together. But here's the thing. Rules and regulations are just paper. When that alarm sounds for cabin 312, it's not the rule book that's going to save lives. It's the people. It's the crew. And how well they've been trained to follow those procedures when they're under unimaginable pressure. Modern training really focuses on three key areas. First, you've got the practical skills, physically using the equipment. Then, theoretical skills, understanding fire science and how the ship's systems work. And finally, social skills, teamwork, communication, leadership, which honestly are often the most critical in a crisis. For the team responding to that fire in cabin 312, these steps have to be muscle memory. They don their full fireman's outfit, they check and put on their self-contained breathing apparatus, or SCBA. That's their only source of clean air. and they get their radios working so they can stay in constant contact with the bridge. All of this has to happen in just minutes. But how do you make sure that training actually sticks? This quote from an experienced ship's master just says it all. If the crew isn't engaged in the drills, if they don't see the point, the training just becomes a box-ticking exercise. A true safety culture means everybody is invested. And that right there is the dangerous gap between practice and reality. Officers often see that during a drill the crew moves at, well, a walking pace. They gear up slowly, but in a real fire, every second you lose allows that fire to grow, and the chance of a successful rescue gets smaller and smaller. Realism in training is what builds the instinct for speed. So this brings us to the heart of it all. You can have the best-built ship in the world, the most detailed safety manual ever written, but in a crisis, the ultimate safety system is the crew itself. In the end, the success of that rescue in Cabin 312 isn't going to be decided by the SOLAS regulations. Nope, it's going to be decided by how well that fire team communicates as they enter a smoke-filled hallway with zero visibility. It's going to come down to their leader's ability to make split-second decisions under stress and the trust each member has in the person right next to them. And that's really the fundamental truth of life at sea. There is no fire department coming to save you. There is no ambulance on the way. Every single person on that crew, from the captain down to the cook, is part of the response team. They are the first responders, they are the fire brigade, and they are the rescue squad all rolled into one. So as we move toward a world of more automated ships, relying more and more on technology, that fire in Cabin 312 is a powerful reminder. When things go wrong, when a life is on the line, and a complex crisis is unfolding in real time, technology and rules just aren't enough. You need trained, prepared, and courageous people. So what's the true value of the human element? It's everything.